Huh?
Reiki,
Ricky.
energy healing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he said that specifically, but it sounded like that's sort of or maybe it was homeopathy or something, which is none of the shit we should actually talk about on YouTube because it's all medical misinformation, but
Oh,
just
okay.
saying.
All right.
But
Then
we could talk about his education because he could have a like I got it I through the Universal Life Church. I sent them $30 and they sent me a PhD in metaphysics. So for $30 I got a PhD in metaphysics. So I got a PhD in bullshit.
that is very interesting. Isa, what do you think?
Well, it's funny. I've studied naturopathy too, but it depends. Like if it's supplemental care, it's not replacement care. Like if you do things like aromatherapy and Reiki, these are usually you do this with palliative care and hospice when a patient. So I do a lot of palliative care when a patient passes away, and this is a way of easing a patient, but it's not a replacement care where you use it to replace what's happening. It's usually when someone's transitioning, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those things are very helpful and effective in that kind of space. So it's important of understanding the context of it. Um, but yeah, like there's a lot of woo woo with essential oils where people think the essential oils will cure cancer, and yeah, they're good for having a nice atmosphere, and like eucalyptus oil, you can breathe that in, and it's helpful, but it's not going to cure you of cancer, and lupus.
Yeah.
You know, I would say it's more effective than Peter Popov and that kind of stuff. So,
I don't know who that is.
but Peter Popov was like this preacher who, said he did like faith healing. He was a prosperity gospel guy, and
Oh, okay.
James Randi exposed him. He was one of the exposés, and there were several of those guys who were around, and they had like these waters, and they said, holy water that would heal people, and it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
that's
type I know. I don't know that guy specifically, but we even have those kinds of here. They sell
Uruguay.
every once in a while. They say that they make some trip to whatever Israel or some other like
Right, the holy water, holy
church, and
land.
then they bring holy water, or they bring little soaps, or they bring like a giant blanket that they put all over the church, and then they make people touch it, and it's the blanket of discharge. It's insanity. Yeah, crazy.
So my position on it, sorry, I didn't mean to digress, but to answer your
No.
question, I think he did some programs, but I mean I don't know about astrophysics and stuff like that. I don't know about that particular claim. Um, I'm not sure why he made that claim. I don't assume if that's what he said. Okay, fine. Um, but it's I'm going to trust people on their face value. I'm not going to say, hey, I need your credential. But
Yes,
I do
but
find
he
it
got
weird.
stumped
I
on
find it weird.
basic.
Hmm?
He got stumped on basic questions. So like,
Radiation.
I think it's a weird thing to keep promoting that. Like, do you notice Dr. J or me? We're not really talking about our credentials all the time. It's not really something that's important. Like, we don't. I don't know why that
right?
got brought up in the debate. I thought that was weird.
Uh,
I
it,
did the
it,
other gentleman didn't. I don't know what MC Toon didn't talk about his credentials, right?
No, he bragged about having a junior high level education, middle school
yeah.
level
Oh,
education to understand the topic. But yeah, so he brings it up. I worked with NASA, I worked with China. This is try to elevate his position to try to give him more credibility. And I think I am causing some feedback.
I don't quite understand myself. I don't really see the purpose of that. Like when we've done debates, we don't do that. I don't recall you ever doing that, Ocean or Max. You didn't really talk about my credentials. You may have said I had some experience in this field, like music, but
Yeah.
I think it's weird to promote the credentials in the debate. I think it's a
Yeah,
little
but for
strange.
example, if I were to debate Kent Hovind, I would say, since he can call himself a doctor and he's not a doctor, I can say I have a PhD in dance floor management. Who's going to debunk me on that?
That's funny. I like that. I think it's so weird though. It was a very weird conversation, that element, and the whole China thing. I'm like, why are we talking about? I thought we're talking about the moon. Why
Because
are we
like,
getting into China?
it's a whole weird situation. Like overall, it's weird. Let me hand it over to Dr. J. What do you think? Any thoughts on uh, the whole education thing when it comes to a debate, or specifically his claims about his education, whatever you feel more comfortable with?
Well, usually if you say does someone have a certain degree, usually it's just better to add the thing at the end from an accredited university. Now, it just throw that in there and it saves yourself a lot of headache. Do I think he has a PhD from an accredited university? Maybe, but I doubt it. I doubt it. So that's what I would probably say about as far as saying what your credentials are. Like, it can actually be a helpful shorthand. So if I was like, so Issa, what'd you get your master's in? And he's like, okay, this, and what'd you do undergrad? And then Issa might say, yeah, but that was 20 years ago. I actually now research this, so that was where I started, but now I'm an expert in this, or this is the thing I've been working on the last 10 years. All that can be helpful, and a degree here or there reference could be somewhat helpful. So there's nothing really wrong with it, but yeah, I don't have any reason to think this guy has an accredited PhD.
Mhm. All
Can I
right,
test
thank you.
something really quick?
Yeah.
It don't say anything for 1 minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am seeing some feedback, but I don't know if it's me or somebody else, but
Hold on. Let's.
I don't hear it, but I see it on my it's like negative 40 dB.
Okay.
Now it's
we are-
gone. Let
Huh,
me
that-
test. Did you just talk? 1, 2, 3. Now it's gone. Did somebody mute themselves?
I muted everyone.
Okay, yeah. So somebody has some feedback. It's very low, but it is a little bit. Now it's
Say what? Using headphones?
I've been muted the whole time.
Yeah,
Except
you've
for
been
now.
muted the whole time. Misa's muted, and Dr. J. Hold on, let's do it one at a time. Speak, Oz.
Yes. Well, you gotta stop talking so I can see it. Testing. One. Testing 1, 2, 3. I don't see it there. So
Okay.
It's Dr. J.
Maybe I've had some problems with these headphones. Maybe they're just causing a little buzz because the connection's not good here. Are you hearing it and it's a headache? I can just jump off.
No, it's negative 40 dB, so it's not really detectable. I'll just turn on an attack thing, but it might be you have the volume. It doesn't matter. I'm getting sidetracked. It might be you just have the volume up loud. It's picking up on your mic a little bit. Just ignore what I said. I disrupted the whole conversation. Sorry. I'm going to put a compressor in.
Max,
There.
your mic is still muted too. Oh wait, are you?
Oh, shoot. Yes. Sorry. What do you think about this whole idea, problem of education?
Well, in certain professions, it's not necessarily a requirement, but usually you display your credentials when you want people to take you seriously. Like if you go to a doctor's office, they might have, hey, well, this is my credentials here. But if you don't want people to know who you are, you can just hide your name too. So if that's what you're scared of, you could have just hid the name and just showed the degree. So, and like Dr. J said, everybody else, it's not from an accredited college or university.
All right. So let's talk about the opening argument and what you heard from the opening argument of Dr. Raza, or not a Dr. Raza. Oz, what are your thoughts on his opening argument?
So my thoughts on the opening argument. So I thought Mike, he presented two claims about the hammer and the feather and the frames per second and how fast they fall. And there's other indicators that it's not slow motion, right? Like the movements of the person, the talking of the person. And you could see, well, that was all post editing and stuff like that. But to cause like physical movements of the body, it seems like a weird stretch of the imagination that was all set up. So that was a very good argument. I can't remember the other argument was. Apparently, the vertical chat can't hear you, so I need to fix that now too. But anyways, and then Dr. Raza spent his whole 10 minutes talking about his background and not about how he's not allowed to talk about China. Like all the evidence he showed was evidence that we went to the moon. He was just denying that people went to the moon, but he never described why people couldn't have gone to the moon. And he obviously doesn't understand anything about radiation. That was easily exposed with my super chat finally, because he has no clue. And so he's just making claims. I don't. Yeah, so he made no argument. That's I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. For the opening, that's pretty much what happened. Isa, any thoughts on Raza's opening?
Yeah, I actually remember it very well. 1 second. It's in here. Okay. All right. This might be better. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, he talked about his experience. He has a lot of experience, 20 years, with NASA. He has all the photos. And then he showed us a page with the photos on it. But we didn't really get to see how that worked. It looked like just a background of all his pictures on his computer. So we got to see all of that. That's really compelling, profound evidence for his claim. One thing that he said that just I was so persuaded by, it was just so convincing, was that he said, we just don't explore this information. We don't look into it. We don't explore it. So, he has explored it. And, it just seems so bizarre. How could you have such a giant hoax of this nature? Well, there has to be exploration of 20 years and having a background in physics and all these extremely hard sciences. He has the answers. He knows the situation, and he's the doctor to solve this quagmire for us.
What I found funny was that he claims that other hoaxers they make claims, but they haven't researched this enough. So he even claims that other hoaxers are wrong, and that's a very funny and interesting thing. So, Dr. J, what do you think about Raza's opening?
Yeah, I mean, Ozzy had said it, but he didn't really make any opening arguments. I actually thought as it went along later on, we'll talk about it, got better. But yeah, the opening was kind of a waste of time for the most part.
Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough. Billy?
Yeah, he didn't really say anything except for a bunch of stuff, trying to tell people about himself, but he didn't present any evidence about the moon landing being a hoax. And he talked about Freemasonry, Freemasons wanting to kill him, stuff like that, and that's why he doesn't. Well, I don't know if that was in his opening, but whatever. Everything just jumbled together.
Yeah. I totally.
I zoned out a lot of times when he talked.
Jumbles.
He's a nice guy, though. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, and he when people were kind of insulting him a bit in the super chats and stuff, he kind of laughed it off, and I did like that. But coming from the last couple of debates where you had, people like Evidence of God, who a little update on that. He made a video with some of the evidence of his claims. So we're going to do a stream with us on Thursday analyzing some of that. But I went through the video and just spoiler alert, there's nothing there. So, but coming from that kind of style, or the witches style, where it's like just like word machine gunning, it feels weird when you go and speak with listen to someone who speaks normally. I think that's also like but he's a nice guy at the very least. Doesn't have much in the skills of debating or presenting the evidence, because the same thing that I said with evidence of God. If you claim to have evidence, or if I prepared for a debate with having evidence, I would have everything there ready to go. So if you ask me, okay, where did you get this? I can give you the link. When I prepare a PowerPoint, on the margin, on the bottom margin, I always put the links to everything that I'm talking about. So if anyone wants, I can share the presentation and they can get the link directly from there. But it seems such a weird thing to go into a debate regarding evidence and not have it like on hand for everyone to access. That seems kind of weird. As far as Raza's opening, that would be pretty much it. There wasn't really much to go in there, but MC Toon's opening, he brought up some stuff that I hadn't seen him bring up before. So let's hand it over to Oz. Give us your thoughts on MC Toon's opening.
Oh, I did cover MC Toon's opening. He did the calculations for the rate of fall for the moon, for the feather and the hammer, based upon the pixel height of the thing. I think that was very good. I can't remember what his first claim was. Oh yeah, India has taken photographs of the landing sites of the Apollo missions on the moon, which is third-hand collaboration of the moon landing. But you know, I think Dr. Ross said try to rebut that, but we'll go into that.
All right, thank you very much, Isa.
Oh, I just want to really quick before you go on.
Yes.
I want to ask you is somebody a nice guy if they're lying?
Yes. Yes.
I guess they can't still be a nice guy and lie at the same time. But
no, but I mean, you can be nice when treating others, but the topic about you lying is separate. So it's
but if
like
you really believe it's true, then you're not lying then. But if they don't actually believe in what they're saying and they are lying, then they are lying. But if they actually believe in what they're saying, then they're not lying then.
Yeah.
They believe what they're saying.
But if somebody comes to my house and says I'm a doctor of astrophysics or whatever the subject is, or I'm working on my PhD in quantum mechanics, and then you ask them questions as somebody that's working on a PhD in quantum mechanics should know, such as the type of radiation there are, then that means the whole premise of their visit to your door was based on deceit. So the whole time they're there, no matter how they're acting. So if a con artist comes to your door and they're acting nice and polite, but they're there to deceive you and convince you based upon a lie and deception, does that make them nice?
No, in that case, no. But because they are being nice for ulterior motives, they're being nice just so they can deceive you. I don't think, like with Raza, I don't think he just thinks that what he says is true. So I don't know. With him, I could separate the stuff, like him being nice and then also at the same time lying about
Have you
some
seen
of
the
the stuff that
movie?
he says.
Have you seen the movie Baba Hotep? It's a very interesting movie. It's a horror movie with what's the guy's name? He's Ash from the Dead.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. It's Ash.
Sam.
Bruce Campbell. You know Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
So in this movie Baba Hotep, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. He believes that he's Elvis. He's convinced that he's Elvis. He's in an enhanced living center, and this other guy believes that he's JFK. So that's the whole premise. These two are together. One is claiming they're JFK. The other is claiming that they're Elvis, and they really believe that they are. So it is possible, as what Billy's saying, is that you can have a delusion. So we don't know. I mean, the thing is, I do think intent is important. You have to prove that the person is actually doing trickery, because there's a lot of people who are delusional and they really believe what they are. He maybe went to, like, what has been proposed, a paper mill college that did give him that physics degree, you know, and whatever physics they taught there, that was it. I don't know about the NASA claim. Sometimes people create stories for themselves because they don't feel value in their own life. Working in the kind of work that I do, you create stories to give yourself value. So it is possible that a person could be delusional. So I would say that that's on the table too. I don't think we should go right to the space of saying that this person is intentionally deceitful, but
Yeah, I want to be very clear, like, for his claims, because I was very careful in listening to him. He said he was going to Portland State University to study astrophysics. I went to go look. I didn't see specifically where they had an astrophysics program, but they do have a physics program. So he might have just been focusing in astrophysics. But he never said he got a bachelor's degree from there in astrophysics. What he clearly said was, I went to Portland State University to study astrophysics. I got this medicine thing or whatever, and I do have a bachelor's degree. But he never said where he got the bachelor's degree, what from, or what topic he got it in. He never claimed he had a bachelor's degree in astrophysics or any type of physics background, which you can't go to a reputable school to work on your PhD in quantum mechanics without a bachelor's degree in some form of mathematics or engineering program or physics program or something like that, because you won't have the math required to do the graduate level courses in quantum mechanics. So whatever he got his bachelor's degree was, I never heard him specifically listen to him. He never made a claim of what he actually got his bachelor's degree in, if he did.
So my thoughts on this, what I think he's doing is this thing that we do all the time, and he just is doing it to a really, really large degree. So if I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan and I talk to someone about the Denver Broncos, if I talk to another Kansas City Chiefs fan about the Denver Broncos, I might say, I hate those Broncos. They're stupid. They're horrible. They're the worst. I wish their franchise would, burn, and I hate them. Right? Just use all this language to say how much you hate the Broncos. And then you move to Denver. You talk to some Broncos fans. You're still a Chiefs fan. You say, oh well, I'm obviously not a Broncos fan, but they have won some Super Bowls and they've had some good players there over the years. It's like, well, were you lying? Well, no, but you framed it in such a really, you left certain facts in, certain facts out that those seem almost completely opposite. And so I think that he really carefully describes his education in a certain way that he's technically not lying. Now, in my opinion, when people frame things like that and they do it to a very large degree, they at some point we've reached you sort of like broken the principle of the whole thing. You're winning on a technicality, which isn't a win, right? I do understand that sometimes framing is okay. You're talking to a certain kind of person, you want to say it in a nice way or whatever, and it's not lying. But I think he is doing it to such a extreme degree, even though in his mind he hasn't lied. I think, to me, it's like you've kind of broken the spirit of the not lying thing. So that's how I view it. So I think he has convinced himself that he's not lying because technically he did lie. That's how I would understand it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I do my position on
No.
the MC tune? So I actually wanted to add one thing too, because I didn't mention this for Rasa Vahari. Yeah, he brought up the Yunnan observatories detecting echoes from moon reflector. That was one of, he actually did mention something. You know what I mean? There was some mentioning of things, and he also mentioned China's lunar mission. So China was a major part. He said, I'm a part of China, but I'm not a part of China. That was one of the things that I wanted to make sure, because there was some data and information he was engaging. So I think we need to be fair that he covered something in it.
Yeah, but we were covering the openings. He got into the details of what he wanted to say in the open discussion, but not during the opening
Right.
statement, which is where he should have done it.
Oh, that's fair. And yeah, I would say what I remember in the with MC Toon, he was talking about different types of experiments that were done. He what was it? The Chandrayaan Apollo
Chandra,
11.
yes,
Was it Chandra
Chandrayaan.
Chandrayaan? Yeah, Chandrayaan Apollo 11. So he was giving examples from, these experiments that were done. So he was kind of trying to give a more concretized situation. He did the passive seismic experiment. So that I think that's helpful. I think we need more stuff like that. We need to engage what is the data, what's the information, what I think in a debate, we need to have common ground. What are we accepting as facts? So we need to come together and say these things are the facts that we agree upon. Now, where do we disagree? And I think that is a problem in some of these debates where people are coming from one angle and they are saying all kinds of stuff. The other person's saying something else, and then we're not having common ground. So I do think he did establish a common ground by using scientific experiments to try to show that this thing was real. He talked about the impact from Apollo 17, the LMAS impact. So he did cover certain specific elements that I think were very helpful for the argument that he was making.
He's a weird, because in the last debate when it started and it didn't continue, he was talking how the reason why they faked it and they will come out. He said they will come out. NASA will admit this when they actually go to the moon with Artemis 2 in 2026 or something like that. So he has a weird set of beliefs, because it's not like the flat earthers that claim that space is fake and all of this. He just says that they faked the moon landing, but they still sent unmanned probes to the moon. So his set of beliefs is kind of a bit weird. I don't know if anyone remembers that from it was just a few moments and then the debate ended because he said that he wasn't a flat earther. That was kind of funny. So, Dr. J, what did you think about MC Toon's opening?
Oh, I thought it was good. He brought up a couple things. Hey, here are these things. Here's my evidence. There you go. I actually think it's a little hard to be like, yes, we went to the moon. Here's evidence. What do? You just show a few pictures, Like, I mean, there's like a million pictures. So what evidence do you want to specifically provide other than like, testimony for each person that went or whatever? So I thought he did a good job. I don't know how I would do it better of saying, I'm going to just bring out these couple specific things that are interesting or whatever to bring. So I thought he did a good job.
All right. Thank you very much. Billy?
Yeah, it was good. The Indian Space Research Organization photos, the feather and the hammer proving less gravity on the moon. Everything else, there's other things too, but I kind of missed the rest of it though. I only caught that part of it.
No problem. I thought it was a good, and as it was a good opening. And as Dr. J said, there's many avenues. Like Oz, for example, he made avenues based on the witnesses, the hostile witnesses, the actual first-hand and second-hand sources, and a couple of other avenues for his opening argument on his last moon landing hoax debate. But there's a lot of things that you can try, and knowing that Rasa accepts some of the narrative makes it a bit easier, because Rasa also brought up the Chandrayaan, the probes from China also, which I don't remember the name right now. So there's a lot of things like common ground there with him. It's a lot easier to have a debate with Rasa than with the flat earthers, because the flat earthers would just say, oh, everything is fake. And even refused to address the argument. Like, oh no, all pictures of space are fake, but they can never even prove that. They never even try, which is interesting to say the least. And now that we're going to in the open discussion, how how many super chats did Witsit send? Because he doesn't want to debate MC Toon, and but every time he's on there, he's sending super chats, and I don't know, why don't you just set up a debate? It's starting to get weird, in my opinion, the whole MC Toon and Witsit thing.
I'm not your monkey. I don't dance for $5. I'm waiting for the next debate I do next Wednesday. I was supposed to do it tomorrow, but apparently the guy can't send a picture in. And this is another Glober that believes the moon landings were fake. But I can't wait for that one. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Yeah, and then you went in and you sent a $20 super chat, and he didn't even answer that anyway. That was hilarious. After on Jeranism, after that, you remember that you said?
Oh yeah. I said, here's $20 to dance, because he doesn't know the answer. He does, like, his big don't talk about what's it, but so for people who don't know, which is probably none of you, there's either cosmology people that are flat earthers that believe the reason for why things fall down is due to electrostatics. And so the way we measure the force of electrostatics is with a test that we do. It's called the Coulomb's experiment. That Coulomb, I can't remember his first name, developed after the Cavendish experiment. So it's the similar type of test, but it has to do with the charge of the two items versus the mass of the two items. So anyways, all these people are convinced, because when you throw like insulating materials that are lightweight and the Van de Graaff generator, it's like 25,000 volts, not 250,000 volts. You can cause them to levitate or go up and hit the other plate. But when they go up and hit the other plate, they get charged with that other charge and they fall back down again. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and a car battery is 12 volts. So yeah, they're dumb.
Yeah.
All right, so open discussion. Where is my here? Oz, thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate?
Like normal, the conspiracy theorist never addresses the opening arguments. All of his evidence was very, very poor. It's obviously even like the voice evidence, he went to a produced product instead of going to the raw audio files from like Apollo 11. So for like the flat earthers, like Witsit goes on and he does the actual audio, even though he didn't use the actual audio files. Most flat earthers use the actual audio files, not edited ones. They go to the raw footage, so they do better investigation of the thing. Like his whole thing was very, very poorly investigated. Like none of the things he claimed didn't have an answer. He would show like two apples and oranges. Here's the camera from this angle. Here's a camera from a entirely different angle. They look different. Okay, they look different from different angles. Like you need to go to the museum, take a picture of it from the same angle, and then match it to see if it matches. Then realize 50 years has gone past, and people had to move it from the moon 230 thousand miles away to Earth. It landed on Earth and then get it to your museum. And somebody might have done maintenance on it because this thing could have been bad. They might have done maintenance on it or something and replaced something. Who knows? But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it's fake. There's a million other explanations for why all of his evidence looked the same differently. I do want to point out that I think MC Toon, I think, reduced fixing photos to just exposure when it could be like the he did briefly touch on it. You can change the white balance, the dark balance, and there's a lot of different tweaks you can do to the photo to get it to look better, because like he said, it could be any number of things. And whenever you take a photo, you always process it unless the lighting's perfect. But guess what? They didn't take lighting to the moon. They didn't take lighting to the moon. They were using sunlight. So, and now there's no atmosphere for the sunlight. So they got to deal with the high exposure, the reflections off of all the objects and stuff like that. So they probably had what looks like on the photos. It looks like there's a filter, like a solar filter on the photos. Like there's an ND8 or something, like a neutral density filter. It looks like that could be why they're so dark, is because you put a neutral density filter on the camera to protect the camera's lens from the sun and from the radiation reflecting from the sun, because that radiation will damage the sensor inside the camera. So if I had to guess, there was a solar filter of some type on the camera. That's why the images were so dark. That's why you had to correct the images in Photoshop. And the people that corrected them, they would have known what type of filters were used, if any, what type of camera was used. And a lot of times all those values can be preset. They can just put it in there and apply it to all the photos in a batch. The same Photoshop lets you do this. You can do batch, at least 2024, but that was done in 2009. So I don't know what it was in 2009. But they could have applied that one filter to all of them and just been done and said, okay, here you go. And then upload them back up from the raw data to the processed photo that's corrected for exposure and lighting, and to move the color, the gamma spectrum, to a visible range that could be washed out due to poor exposure because of the camera that was used, the lens that was used, and being doing on the moon. Just want to point that out. MC Toon, but good job. I like the back and forth. I don't think he had any argument. It was just an interrogation. Once again, they bring no proof. They just interrogate.
Yeah, I thought it was like, okay, what about this? And then MC Toon just like debunked it in a couple of sentences, and Raza went like, okay, what about this? MC Toon went again 2 sentences. Okay, that's a good point. He said it in a couple of times. That's a good point. And then moved on to, okay, how about this? So he kept jumping on, hoping that one of his arguments would stump him or something like that. But MC Toon seemed way prepared for all of this.
Sydney made a good point that the astronauts spend a lot of time training on how to take pictures. I didn't even think about that. That's probably the case. But even still, you're still limited to the environment that you're in because of you don't have special lighting. So you're focusing on the foreground or background. And that's what they did. They're very good photos.
All right. Isa, thoughts on the open discussion part of the debate?
There was a part that I didn't like very much. I felt that he was a little bit hostile. MC Toon there was a bit of hostility where it came to like with the China stuff, and he kept like pushing, and I'm like, it kind of felt like an ad hominem. Personally, I was not comfortable with that. Like I wouldn't have done that. And he kept kind of pushing with that statement where he was like, look, you are kind of this liar, and you are supposed to be representing China, but China has this deal with the US. And I'm just like, yeah, maybe we should just stick with the points. We don't need to talk about this guy's personal life. I know the guy made it about himself, but I don't know. I felt that was a little underhanded personally. I wouldn't have done that. I don't know. I never feel comfortable with that kind of space, but I can understand why someone might do that. Yeah, it's hard. Like when you have these types of debates, it seems like there's not really a conversation. It's like these folks are coming from 2 different wavelengths, and it's like the 2 rivers shall never meet. There's like this impasse. and I've seen this in a couple debates. It's very hard. Like again, like what I said earlier on, you need to find common ground. Like to have a really good debate, you need to first say, okay, this is where we agree, this is where we diverge. Then let's engage where we diverge. I don't think that that's established, and it didn't really come across very well in this Q&A. Yeah, it's just a hard thing, I think.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. J, any thoughts on the open discussion portion of the...
I'm going with the absolute positive route on this. I thought it was great. I thought it was super easy to follow. The guy brings some evidence. MC Toon explains it. Guy can't provide any counterpoint. Great, cool, okay, got it, cool. Next one. Well, the guy provides some evidence. MC Toon explains it. Guy can't provide counterpoint. Great, easy to follow. No crazy, weird words that no one can understand. Not claiming you explained it when you haven't. Not a bunch of obfuscating. I thought it was very clear and easy to follow. Now, as for Dr. What's his name? I'm just shocked he allowed that to happen. I just thought, I can't believe he just laid out thing. Toon explains it. Next thing, I was like, you're just getting pulverized here. But as far as someone watching, it was easy to follow. When I watch Witzig debates, I don't know what heck anybody's talking about other than Mickelson Morley were the greatest scientists in the history of humanity. That's the only thing I remember from his debates. But this was super easy to follow. Now, it seemed like Dr. R, he almost could have just been like, well, yeah, you're right. I guess I'm wrong. I mean, it felt like he was going to say that at the end almost, right? He certainly wasn't, but he could have. So anyway, I enjoyed it in the sense that it was way, way easier to follow. It was clear compared to some flat earth debates where just so much craziness and obfuscations and claiming you answered stuff when you didn't and refused to answer anything. And, at least he was like, yeah, no, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Can we move on? It's like, good, boom. You have nothing. You have no answer. You just say, let's move on. That's great. I thought, so anyway, I'm much more positive about it than some other flat earth debates I've watched. Excuse me, not flat earth. Hoax, landing hoax or whatever.
I mean,
all right, thank you very much. Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, he definitely dodged questions in a nice way. He was definitely, we do a little giggle and then oh well, that's a good point, and then you could tell he was not getting it or not getting him, and then you would have to move on to the next one. The one about there was only 3 legs and the no footprints in one of the photos. That one was just like, oh my god, man! And then about the fake putting the lead in the feather to fake the hammer in the feather. I mean, that was desperation right there.
Yeah, that one was weird. It's like, how much lead can you put inside of a feather? Let's say that we grant you that.
Ozin, you want to add something?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot this. He doesn't understand what gravity is because he said the weight of the item matters for how fast it falls.
Right.
That Galileo figured out that wasn't true. The whole hammer and feather experiment is from the 16th century from Galileo. The law of inertia comes from Galileo. No, that's not law of inertia. That's law of free fall. It's called the law of free fall. So if you remember in grade school, you learn these in stages. First thing you learn is law of free fall, right? The things fall at the same rate, but you get air resistance and stuff like that. That's the first thing. And he said the weight of the item matters in the conversation. And what I didn't like during the open discussion is that Mike was going to pin him hard on that, but Ryan intervened to stop it. Why did Ryan that is show-worthy time that there's a confrontation. There's no name calling. There's no yelling, no screaming. There's pressure being put on this guy to show there's a problem. But maybe I thought that was an opportunity that modern day debate missed out on for clips and stuff like that is that would have made for good short. I go back to modern day debates to make shorts and stuff like that. Every time I get a really good point to make a short, Ryan starts talking.
I feel like James is definitely the best one they have, and even
Definitely.
Justin is better than Ryan, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but Justin hasn't been back in a while now.
He has his life teaching and
But maybe now that James is done with his doctor, he's actually Dr. James now. He can do some more moderating. Him moderating your debate with Evidence of God was a nice surprise. I thought that one would also have been Ryan.
and he didn't interrupt. He let us go, right? Like he let us engage. He let us fight. Ryan, I don't know if Ryan would have let that happen. Justin might have let that happen, but Ryan would have just stopped it. So sometimes you need the passion, you're on a roll. You're saying something. You understand the chain of thought, and then somebody stops you from talking, and then you have to re-engage where you lost. It's better just to silence your thoughts, and people want to say they have ADHD or whatever. But if you have those problems, you need to recognize those are the problems that you have if you're going to moderate debates like that. Sometimes the best option is just to shut up and let them talk.
Yeah, as long as they're not taking it too far. They were definitely just talking. No one was attacking anybody. It was trying to get information. And in the pre-show, I mentioned that he wasn't going to answer any questions, and he was just going to be the one asking the questions the whole time, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. But it's a thin line, like with most things, over moderation is not good, and just under moderation, letting one of the debaters just take control of everything that happens, that's also not good. So kind of a middle line is usually best for this kind of things. So as far as the points brought up during the open discussion as evidence of the moon landing being hoaxed, do any of those sounded compelling to you? Did any of the points that he brought up make you go like, huh?
No,
General
but
question to the panel.
But the problem I have, and it looks like somebody's waiting for a call in the hospital right now.
Wait, what?
Anyways, I'm messing with Issa because that looks like a hospital bed and a little pager for
Oh.
the nurse right next to him.
Yeah, it is. I
okay.
do work at the hospital. That's correct.
I figured.
Oh.
Comfy. But no, but then I've already my belief in the moon landing's already been justified. So the burden, to overcome my justification for the moon landing being real, it is very hard. You'd have to it would almost take somebody who's been to the moon come back and say it didn't happen, but those guys are all dead now. It just I don't know what it would take. It would take a lot. Even if Trump became president, which more and more looks like it's going to happen now, and he comes out and says the moon landings were a hoax, I don't know if I would believe. I'd have to see. You know what I'm saying?
It would have to be a serious president with no history of actually lying all the time.
No, it doesn't matter if it was Biden or Trump. That's not what I meant by saying Trump. What I meant by saying Trump is Trump would probably expose some. He might not care about exposing state secrets like that if it was a state secret. So that's all I was using Trump. But no, if it was Biden, it doesn't matter who it was. If it was, it doesn't matter if it was the libertarian candidate that just got selected, who's a gay man from New York. See, there's a gay man running for president right now.
That's cool.
Spencer, I think his name is. I can't remember his name. I should remember it. Anyways, doesn't matter. Even if he came out and said it, like, and it's my party, I wouldn't accept it. It would take a lot to overcome that burden. Besides some dude on a debate that just is looking at photographs, like all the photographs he's showing are evidence we went to the moon.
Yes, that's the problem.
But he just doesn't think that that there was a man on the spacecraft going to the moon. He thinks that it was all autonomized somehow with the technology they had back then to collect all the stuff too and take it back and fly back without without someone manning it. I don't know.
Well, they
But
could have.
when-
Like robots work, but I still find it suspicious that the manned missions are more successful than the unmanned missions. Just
Well, yeah,
but-
that's because they can account for the computing power they had back then wasn't as good as like nowadays. Like they might not have as many issues as they did back in the 1960s or late 60s, early 70s.
But the thing is, like, for example, when he put up that picture he made with the spotlight and the shadows, that made no sense. He had all of the shapes wrong. So how can you like pretend to do an analysis when everything is so like flawed? I don't, and it also goes to this idea that, okay, but the evidence that you're putting forward is evidence of the contrary of your belief. So your debunking should be like rock solid. It's a step above what the flat earthers do, that they just claim everything is fake. Because I mean that requires no effort whatsoever. But I don't know, it's still not convincing in any way that, oh yeah, these pictures of the moon, of people in the moon, of the lander in the moon, all of that. Yeah, it's just that they were unmanned. I don't think that will be convincing to most people at the very least.
yeah, and just to be, I think this is very funny. So there's two candidates that ran. I got sidetracked, but for the Libertarian Party ticket, there were two candidates that ran for the Libertarian Party ticket that both lost. You want to guess who they were? I'll
No,
tell
I
you
don't.
because it's unfair because you don't know anything about the party politics.
I
Donald
probably met
Trump-
him in person, Ozian. I probably met him in person when they came to the Kansas State Libertarian Convention, and I was there.
You probably, but no, Donald Trump and RFK Jr. ran for the Libertarian nomination for president, and and they both lost
Damn.
because
saw-
Libertarians are not Republicans. And
Right. I saw a couple of clips
They
of
still
Trump
vote for
on that convention, and he was like getting massively booed by people.
that was the Libertarian Party convention booed
Yeah.
him when he came up on stage. They booed him. Ah! Anyways, I thought it was so funny, but
Now that we got sidetracked again, now that the U.S. has a gay president, I think his platform should be "Make America Fabulous."
it's not gay. It's Chase Oliver. Well, he is a libertarian, so he won't
But-
make
but
anybody
didn't you
make
say
gay
he was
fabulous.
gay?
Huh?
Didn't you say he was gay?
Yeah, he's gay, but he's running to be president on the Libertarian Party ticket. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
then-
met him. I did meet him when he
Chase
was
Oliver?
in Kansas. He came.
cool.
Yeah, I was at the Libertarian State Kansas convention, and the way the Libertarians do their delegates and send their delegates is different than the other parties, and so he was there to pitch his thing, and he went and talked to me for a while or whatever. I didn't vote because I'm not a Libertarian or part of the party. I just was at the convention representing ranked choice voting.
Oh.
But it was cool to be able to meet him.
A lot of libertarians support ranked choice voting. It's not like, well, a lot of them are like anarchists, but not all of them.
What?
It was very popular there.
Yeah,
very
yeah,
What is that?
they support it.
ranked choice voting?
It's where instead of saying which candidate you're going to win, you rank the candidates in order that you prefer, and then if none of the candidates that got none of the number one votes is over 50%, you cut out the candidate who had the least number one votes, and then you say, okay, the person take all those number ones, we're going to those number twos, and then you just keep going down the line. That way, you can rank the person you really want to vote for, right? Let's say, Oz really wants to vote Libertarian, but he never does because of the spoiler effect. He never votes Libertarian. Let's pretend.
I always do.
Okay, I'm imagining here. So he now he would be able to do Libertarian without having to worry about the spoiler effect, because the way we do it now is we don't have to like our candidates, we just have to hate the other one worse. And so no third party can ever break through because of the spoiler effect. So ranked choice voting is super helpful with the spoiler effect. So that's why I'm a huge fan of it, and I would like to see it get adopted on a local and state level, and maybe someday as we get better at it, more used to it, refine it, someday at the national level. So I think it is one of the most important political issues of our time because it fundamentally changes the system to be a better system. It's not just one issue that would get voted up or down, but it would make the system better.
People would actually be motivated to vote Green and Libertarian Party.
Yeah,
like I think we're split like that, like 20 to 30% for each party. You look at people that self-identify Republican and Democrats, it's not much more than 30%, if 30%. It's like there's like 60% of the U.S. population that doesn't identify as either party, but they just go and vote anyways. Because, like you said, the spoiler effect. But a lot of people, there's a lot of Democrats that would vote Green Party if they could, if they knew that, if they didn't think their vote was thrown away. And you know what? I support the Green Party before I'd ever support the Democrat Party. I think Jill Stein is a fine candidate. She'd make a fine president, much better than the stinking people we get there now.
I'm with you. I'm pro-libertarian and pro-green. I think they're much better than either of those parties, personally.
I am not a libertarian at all. Oz, your version of libertarian is so weird to me. It's just not my understanding of libertarian at all. You and I agree so much on how it should be done, but then when I talk to other libertarians, it is just not what they're saying.
They're more radical than I am when it comes to, but I am like them more so, but they're so caught in the lingo and the talk because they don't get out to the real world. It's sort of like flat earthers in that way, where they don't engage with other people, normal people. So all they hear is like the non-aggression principle, taxation is theft, and and they don't understand that you can still be libertarian and still understand how government works and stuff like that. They're convinced that anarchism is legitimately a thing. Yeah, but they don't understand that anarchy is actually impossible. So the best thing you can do is to limit government, but you shouldn't. But the reason, like, I can never support Republicans because their position's always been bad on LGBT issues, on like social issues. People want to say it's like, oh, pot smoking. Yeah, pot should be illegal. I don't think, but you guys saw me. I don't know if you guys watched the other day. Like, I was on here saying people were I was going off on people about pot and psychedelics and stuff like that because people pretend like it's totally safe, but it's not totally safe. It really is, depending on the person using it, and it should be done under supervision, and you should be around people you trust, and you should know your own medical background, and you should always consult with the doctor if you're trying to self-medicate.
You shouldn't be buying from the black market either.
Yeah, but we create this system because Democrats got in charge of the pot legalization thing, and so what do? They said, let's legalize pot and tax it to shit.
It's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth knowing. But the prices should go down. The prices should go down if they get rid of if they lower the taxation, which they shouldn't. I don't know. Here it seems the prices are better. At first they were bad when it first was legalized.
Yeah, so it's more money to buy it through the dispensary than on the street. And the taxes from the dispensary are super high. Hey, speaking of Mike, we were just talking about you. I don't know if you heard us or not, but
I did not. I just came in here. How you doing?
Yeah, we got sidetracked for a moment, but
I just want to say, I sent you a message on Discord. You had that guy pinned, man. You had him pinned about gravity, and he started talking about weight. And Ryan had the most clippable moment for that debate, for modern day debate, and instead just zip it, Ryan, zip it, so you can make content for modern day debate. He has to interrupt you and stop it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
so
Yeah,
what
no.
are your thoughts? How did it? Did you have fun at the very least?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. And you know, he's a nice enough guy, right? But
Yes.
the lying though makes it like it's hard to respect when he's lying like that. When, you know, he's like he makes such a big deal about his credentials, but then when you ask him about his credentials, like, well, this isn't about my credentials. Then don't talk about your credentials. Just be Rasa. You don't have to be Dr.
Right.
Rasa if it's not about credentials. But you insist on having doctor on there when you're not really a doctor.
I like your master tune. That was funny.
I told Ryan, I'm like, well, if he could be that, I didn't want to just make something up that wasn't. I'm MC Tune. MC is Master of Ceremonies. So
True.
Now, I was going to ask you, how many of those photos have you gone over? Like, you've seen all of those and all those explanations before. Were any of those any argument you've never heard, or have you heard absolutely every single one of those before?
well, almost all of his things that he brought up.
It was only $2 though, so it's not. It's just going to be like that, $2 worth. That's it. That's it. Now, if you want more feet pics, you got to go to my OnlyFans.
Are you?
It's actually called Only Feats.
It's
The whole site dedicated just to that.
Well, let me really quick show notes. If people aren't familiar, we are streaming in both vertical and horizontal mode. So if you're not seeing like the full screen, and you want to see the full screen, go to Matters Now and click on the one with the little thumbnail, and that'll be the full screen mode. If you like watching on your cell phone, want to watch in vertical mode, that's like this way. You can go to the other stream, which is where I'm streaming from my computer, and then Max is streaming from StreamYard. So we got two streams going. So we're streaming in horizontal and vertical mode. Because I got chat on both. Somebody said toes.
So you were saying he got most of his material from where?
I think he actually sourced most of his things himself. The things that he has in his 12 smoking guns, there's some overlap. It's not right, like the time that the disconnect in the time that he's talking about. I didn't look at that very deeply. I researched whether or not, like I didn't research whether or not there was a disconnect in the time coding. I researched how the actual video and audio were recorded. And then, you just know, well, how they had to reassemble it for a DVD. Like it's not something that you can make any conclusions with. And he's like, that was the original. Like, what do you mean that was the original? It was for DVD. DVDs didn't exist in 1972.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Yeah.
So he is. If somebody were to debate him without knowing his position, it would not be good for that person. You need to know his position, and he really wanted to refute the points he was hoping I was going to make. You catch that there?
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to close by bringing up these 2 points that I didn't bring up. Like, that's not how a debate works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got a bit upset with that part at the end about the Masons, or like right before, because I don't know, I wouldn't have brought that up. That makes no sense in when talking. It's more going like down the rabbit hole of conspiracy just for the sake of going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy. Just
Yeah.
because you have to attribute this to someone. And for him, it's the Masons. For some other people, it's like the Jews or the Jesuits or the Catholics. Everyone has like a scapegoat when it comes
Yeah.
to the conspiracy thing.
But that's never evidence,
Of course, yeah.
right? Just, oh, these people were that. It doesn't mean anything, though. If they were in charge of it, then get the evidence for it.
You know what's interesting? I'm actually Jewish and a Freemason, so that's like really funny that they bring those things up. And I'm like, yeah, Freemason is not nearly as, poppin' and wild as people think it is. It's like a country club. You just hang out with like your friends and you're like your bros from this thing. It's literally what a Freemason is. It's none of that fancy schmancy stuff like the Bohemian Grove. It's all made up.
So
It's a-
you're saying that you don't do sacrifice and you don't worship
No.
the devil and that stuff. I'm
You're
very
supposed to believe
disappointed.
in God. That's
You
the
still do
one
rituals. You do
Freemason.
rituals, but they're not evil rituals. They're occult rituals. I don't know. Like if you
They're like
believe in the
rituals
occult
that
stuff.
like a fraternity does. If you join a college fraternity, it's the same kind. And I've joined a college fraternity too, so it's like it's like the same kind of thing. It's a brotherhood. It's like you go eat dinner and you go have a good time. It's none of that stuff. And one of my mentors is like a 32nd degree Mason. It's not a big deal. Like a lot of people make it into this big thing. It's just it's just like a club where you hang out with friends. That's literally all it is. It's none of that other made up stuff. And what they do is they list. It's like there was this thing called the Satanic Panic in the 80s.
Yeah.
People were just
Lived
deceptive
through
of each generation. People were terrified. They're terrified of things they don't know. They were scared of He-Man and She-Ra. Like, dude, they're toys. My Little Pony's a toy. It's the same thing with Freemasonry. It's no big deal. Don't be scared of Freemasonry. It's not going to hurt you. Okay.
Yes.
The vertical chat is going off about feet and feet pics because they said they couldn't see my foot because it was in the horizontal view. So I'm like, well, I think MC Toon said with 300 likes, if we got 300 people
And
watching
Max-
the stream,
Max
I
will
think
give you some feet pics.
I think the most we've ever had watching one time is 200 people. We're not Mike Toon caliber level streams. We're better quality. We just
Quality over quality. This is the 40-year aged in a cask kind of quality, right? I'm just Pabst Blue Ribbon over there, at the college beer party.
But
Right.
they buy Pabst Blue Ribbons in fucking truckloads, but they don't buy the fine beers in truckloads. They just like, I want a case. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you. I'm just messing.
So
What I do like about Toon's channel is the camaraderie in the side chat. People know each other. They talk to each other. It's a fun environment to hang out when he's streaming, and also in FTFE's side chat. It's always filled with joke, filled with positivity. It's a good place to hang out. So if you are not subscribed, we'll link back to MC Toon, but you already know what you have to do. Just like go over and subscribe. What are you doing? You're missing out.
I think the flat earthers find the same type of like network when they're in their own streams. You see them like socialize, like if you like on Twitter every once in a while you talk about how they're all loving and caring and doting on each other if you like see it scroll through the thing. So it's sort of like it's always like the other, like I'm othered, so I can't be friendly. We're back and forth. It's sort of like that's sort of like a dichotomy. So I don't want to say, but yeah, there's definitely a lot less anti certain groups of people on these streams than on their streams. So just say that.
All right, let me go to this the Satanic Panic.
Sure.
So I have this book here by Mike Warnke. Mike Warnke was a Christian comedian, and he got his fame through telling about a satanic coven that he said he was in charge of. And he wrote this book. And in this book, he details the Satanic Coven that he says that he was in charge of. But some people started digging around and finding there was a lot of things that didn't work. Remember, this is the foundation for how he came to become a well-known Christian comedian. This book and his claims. His claims first, and this book came after the claims. So some people did some research. Mike Hertenstein and John Trott did research. And so Mike's book was the Satan Seller, and they called theirs Selling Satan. And you can see by the size, they did a lot of work. I read this whole thing. I interviewed John Trott. So they did the background research on all of the things that he claimed to have done, and none of it existed. He said, well, when I was in charge of the coven, I had long hair and black painted fingernails. And they pulled up pictures of him from the time. Short hair, collar buttoned at the top, boring as can be looking guy, right? This is him, actually. This is a picture of him when in the year that he claimed he had long hair and was in charge of a coven. So that was just riding the coattails of the Satanic Panic.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
an interesting story. I've heard a couple of podcasts on the Satanic Panic. It's a very interesting period in the size of the U.S.
Yeah. So McToon, I've heard that you are religious, so you may know I'm a pastor of an American Baptist church. And is that correct? You're some kind of Christian background, or
I am, yeah.
or what? Okay. And do you ever talk about that too much, or where what kind of church you go to, or you don't have to? I don't really know.
Yeah, I grew up going to, when I was a kid, in North American Baptist, and in middle school, high school, General Baptist Conference, which in Minneapolis area, that's super common. That's the seminary is here. It's Bethel University. And then shortly after college, my wife and I started attending an evangelical covenant church, and we've mostly been to those, which in again in the Midwest is almost just basically Baptist General Conference, because they take MDivs from Bethel.
Okay.
Even though, well, not in the Midwest, because the seminary for evangelical covenant is in Chicago. So North Park University.
Gotcha. Yeah, John Piper. So is he popular in a lot of those circles, or not necessarily?
I don't know names really.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Are we going to reschedule at some point the debate we had between Dr. J and the other J? Because I was looking forward to.
He said yes, but he hasn't responded back to me. So, like, I can't make him.
Yeah, definitely. But that was interesting. If you hadn't heard about that tune, we were having maybe not a debate, but a discussion between a biblical flat earther and Dr. J, who is our resident theologian on the panel. So,
did Dr. J, did you get your doctoring done at an uncredited university that's now out of business?
Yes, it was easier that way. The PhD was 5 pages instead of 250.
Oh, okay.
That's great. I got my PhD. I got my PhD at Midwestern in Kansas City. So it's one of the Southern Baptist seminaries.
But yeah, that would have been. We did a 2-part video with Dr. J analyzing the 200 verses that they claim come from the Bible, and we kind of arrived at the conclusion that you have to be very generous and you have to be wanting to interpret it as a flat earth thing. Otherwise, it could just be a metaphor. It could just be poetic language of the time. There's a lot. You have to put a lot of strength into interpreting it like that.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things you that conspiracy theorists do. They start with a conclusion,
Mhm.
and then just hunt for things that match. And you know, you can interpret the Bible in lots of different ways. If you
Right.
couldn't, there would not be multiple denominations,
Mhm.
right? Right, Dr. J. If if that were the case, everybody would be an Anabaptist, right?
That's right.
Right? Catholics would not be Catholics; they'd be Anabaptists.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's always interesting too. You know, I like to talk about the Christian stuff, you know, with the flat earth when it comes to flat earth. And I haven't done it too much, but I'll usually try to ask like, so if you got in a spaceship and found out it was round, you know, let's just pretend, imagine with me, which is hard to get people to do sometimes. Would you just give up on Christianity? You know, Christianity's wrong. And none of them will say yes. And it's like, so then you don't believe that the Bible teaches it that bad. You know, you must
Oh,
not
yeah.
believe it very much. It's like really important because if I like found out like for sure Jesus was not real, you took me in a time machine, that whole thing never happened. At some point, I go, yeah, well, okay, I guess I'm not a Christian, or at least not in the form I am now. You know,
It's a critical part of it.
Yeah.
Right. It's foundational. Yeah. If you're saying that that's important enough to get in a car and drive around the country telling people about it.
Mhm.
Important enough to right.
Yeah, I did a debate the other day on is Christianity true, and I wasn't like really trying to. I don't know if you saw it, but
I
the
haven't.
guy spent the whole time trying to argue that evolution falsified the Bible. I'm like, I don't make that argument. Why are you even making that argument? Like, it's just like no serious atheist debater, except like, you know, the maybe some YouTube personality would use that as an argument. It's just absurd. So, and then here I am being the Christian apologist, debating a Christian on is Christianity true?
It's I used to be, when I was kind of like a baby atheist, I used to use that argument like, oh yeah, evolution debunks, but it's only the literalist interpretation of the Bible.
Yeah.
It doesn't go further beyond than that.
Which is very common in Southern Baptists, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's probably the majority by far of the congregation.
In Southern Baptist, yeah, I'm at an American Baptist church, is where I'm a pastor, so probably a lower percentage there, but definitely in the Southern Baptist, it'd be a very high percentage that they would take a anti-evolution stance.
Yeah. But you know that's not the case across the spectrum. It's all over the place, but
Especially globally. You look at it globally,
yeah.
Most Christians globally, because most of the major Christian denominations accept evolution, accept Big Bang cosmology. It's only like this weird fringe group in the United States is, well, most of the world doesn't have the time to even think about these silly issues because we're wealthy. So we have time to argue about these issues. But yeah, I just want to point that out. It's this weird thing in the United States with this weird, it's not Protestants, mainline Protestants don't have any problem with it. It's this weird fundamentalist
It's
movement in the US.
literalists or fundamentalists. Yeah.
Mhm.
And if people are curious about why this chat over here on the screen doesn't match the chat you're in for the horizontal view, I'm sharing this chat that's going on in the vertical view on the side.
So there's a guy that hosts debates called Justin Brierley.
Yep.
He's British.
Just
and
have a think.
He's a Christian, and he hosts debates between mostly Christians and non-Christians, but it's all over the place. He has hosted debates from Christians where they have a different view of evolution. but he generally doesn't host debates on young Earth versus old Earth or any of that kind of stuff. Because, and he's like, all of his guests that come on, they're all not young Earthers. And I know, and young Earthers, you know, try to tell him that he's got to have some young Earther on. He has to represent that. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not.
Yeah, I've watched listened to a ton of his stuff. I read his book too, but yeah, he doesn't have any time for that. It's very, very interesting. He just doesn't even bother.
Well, because it's not supposed to be an empirical claim. Like Christianity's not supposed to be empirical claims. So anytime you like, not any traditional view, it's not. So anytime you say science falsifies God, you're subjecting God to an empirical evidence, and it's sort of like bizarre that people do that. Maybe that's why. That makes more sense, because it's like no one in philosophy of religion would ever take that type of argument for God seriously, because that's not how we define God in philosophy of religion.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of the people that are arguing on the other side of it use that definition, though.
Right. They'll say he's physical with his feet up on a footstool on the earth.
Yeah. It's his footstool. Where's his feet?
I know.
So McToon, I enjoyed this debate a lot more than other ones, because some of them, especially with the Witsit kind of guy, it's just, other than Michelson, Morley are the greatest scientists in all history of humanity. I have no idea what he's talking about most of the time. I mean, I'm not a scientist, I'm not into it, and I don't know what the heck's going on. But I actually sort of enjoyed him giving you a thing, and you explain it. It got a little repetitive, I guess, but in general, it was easy to follow, which was way different than so many of your other debates. The ones I've watched anyway. Would you agree that style of him just saying it, you answering it, and then him going, okay, and then going on, was that like really unique to you? It seemed unique to me.
Yes. It every time he just kind of folded, it was like, oh, okay, you're just gonna fold.
It reminded me of Will when he debated Witsit. He went the lawyer style of debating. He got him to admit exactly some detail and then moved on. He went like, okay, so you're saying this, and Witsit would say yes, okay, and that's it. And instead of letting him go over his whole word salad, just let him do the lawyer style.
Will was building a case.
Yeah, that was really that was awesome. I love that debate.
They are so pissed. They get pissed at Will because Will says, I used rhetoric and it's okay to use fallacies. Because not all, a fallacy doesn't mean false. Like they always throw out reification fallacy because we can't perfectly justify space-time as a thing, because it's sort of like a presupposition for us to understand other things. And so that's a reification fallacy. You're saying this conceptual thing is a concrete thing. I'm like, but we have evidence to justify why it's concrete thing. Beside the point, it doesn't matter if the argument is fallacious or not. We have evidence to support our belief that space-time is a concrete thing based on the evidence. Regardless of the fact, you're out there spitting out like fallacies constantly nonstop, and people aren't interrupting you. You say, and people say, well, he doesn't make a lot of claims. Yeah, he does. He'll embed into one claim like 10 different concepts.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to be able to deconstruct all those concepts within the one claim. I think when he debated Aiden from the Lore Lodge, right? And Aiden like owned him. Aiden exposed him like in a split minute with the Socratic method. And he wants to pretend like he didn't, but Witsit got angry because he was exposed.
Yeah.
Because Socratic method is designed to expose sophists. It's designed to expose people who are using rhetoric and sophistry to get their point across. And quickly, right away, he was exposed. He couldn't concede basic little concepts like Mercury is orbiting the sun.
What's Mercury?
Yeah. So with that being said, then he says, "You don't even have me at full speed. You don't want me at full speed." Then he rattles off this bullshit about microwave transmissions that he totally misrepresents. I made a response video. I posted it on YouTube. I haven't posted it on this channel. Not on YouTube. I posted it on X. People should follow me on X. I post videos on there too. I'm trying to build up X anyways. But and I explained the atmospheric ducting. I explained the one tower they talk about that's 361 kilometers long over across the Red Sea. Sometimes they'll mention it. 200 some miles, whatever it is. Well, that's impossible in flat Earth. Those towers, the one tower is at like 2,600 or 2,600 meters above sea level. The other tower is at like 2,200 meters above sea level. And they're 361 kilometers apart. And there's that is not enough. Now, if you put them on 100-meter towers, you need just the smidgen of atmospheric refraction to get them in line of sight. Just like the bare minimum, more than, like less than you would ever have on the worst possible day of atmospheric refraction would put those two antennas in line of sight. And if the Earth was flat, we should be able to build microwave towers that go forever because they don't have the signal loss and attenuation through our atmosphere.
Yeah,
it cuts right through our atmosphere.
Yeah, you'd want to get above topography, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And yeah, 100 meters, easy, across the ocean.
Yeah, but they don't do that, and it doesn't work on there. They'll claim some attenuation. Go measure it, dude. You could build you could go measure the signal strength of the mic. I've done it before because I worked on that equipment. You can measure the signal strength of the transmission and the signal strength of the receiver. I've done it. I do it all the time. I use a PowerCom. I use the signal generator. I did the standing wave ratio. And I used to do standing wave ratio. This is how much of a nerd I am, right? So the other guys, they would all use like the actual standing wave ratio meter. I would use the signal generator and my voltmeter, frequency voltmeter to measure the incoming and outgoing and do the math and it's just a 20 log voltage out over voltage in and do my both ways and do the ratio to get my standing wave ratio instead of using the meter. And then I get the actual value where the meter is like has all the air and stuff like that. But yeah, they want to tell me I'll understand it at all. Like
this is 100-year-old knowledge.
100 and yep.
Yeah, the transmission like that, easily 100 years old. That people have had a solid grip on what kind of power, what kind of antenna to go this distance.
Marconi, they bring up Marconi. Like that's when we like, yeah. Like,
But
well,
Marconi,
he didn't quite understand it, but
no, Marconi didn't get it. But in the testing that they did, they were able to get to ships, but it depended on the weather. Why does it have to be certain weather? Why does it only work at night, not during the day? No. Let's not talk about that.
Let me bring up that on the vertical chat, Deron sent a 199 super chat saying thank Titicaca is Tuesday night. So we're getting like super chatception and callbacks to other channels. This is awesome. And I have a couple of messages I wanted to read. Ashton Richard says, matters now. Is it possible God is the first ever multicellular organism and did only that and nothing else ever? Interesting. It could be. There's no way to falsify it. So
that God is or made?
No, that God was just the first multicellular organism. I think that's more of like the idea.
God is generally defined. I can define this little cup holder as God, but that's like meaningless. So when we talk about God, we typically mean some maximally powerful, maximally knowing. I say maximally now because I think like perfect knowledge maybe is weird because I think you deal with recursion if you talk about perfect knowledge, but that's a different argument. And then like perfectly good or something like that, and is a creator being, whether God created it out of existing material or out of nothing or out of himself. And those are the three main views. God either created everything out of himself, God created everything out of nothing, and God created everything out of material. And there's actually Latin words. You guys can go look it up, but English is my language, so I'll use English. But if you wanted to find God as the first multicellular being, but that multicellular being doesn't have a mind, it has no intentionality, it's not doing anything, and no matter how much you want to argue that slime mold and has energy and is conscious because it has energy, that does not make slime mold God. I had that debate. I did. The guy brought up slime mode.
Now that you brought it up, we're going to have a show on a bunch of evidence of God's claims on Thursday. So if you're interested in checking out a bunch of stuff that he owed me from my debate with him 2 weeks ago, then and we have Godsey, who looks like a Sith Lord. Welcome to the stage. Let me just address this message and we'll get right back to it. Philip says, Iron Horse tried lying to me about the sunsets at the end there in the debate. And yes, unfortunately, Iron Horse got himself banned from this channel. So he couldn't avoid insulting people. And that's not the way we do things here. So he got himself banned. So, Godsey, welcome to the stage. Anything you would like to bring up on your anything on your head?
First of all, I clicked the link and I ended up here.
Yeah, that's how that works.
I totally wasn't expecting it.
Oh, yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
an after show for the debate on modern day debate. So did you watch the debate?
no, not really. I was just messing around on YouTube. I'm
okay.
probably
Alright.
really just by mistake.
You're what?
I'm probably here by mistake.
Oh, okay. Do you believe we went to the moon?
Probably.
Okay.
All right.
Why
I
are
mean-
you hesitant? Why probably? What's your hesitation?
Okay, we did go to the moon. We got crap up there that's still up there. You can look with a damn telescope and see the goddamn shit. Okay? And also,
can't-
if we did fake the moon, wouldn't the Russians been the first ones to point that out, since they would have actually had the most to gain from proving that the Americans hoaxed the moon landing? Like,
Yeah.
why were the Russians so silent? Did Stalin and them just like fucking forget or something?
Yeah.
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 I just want to
that's,
correct one thing. We can't use telescopes from Earth to see the stuff we left on the moon, but we can use ham radios to do Earth moon bounces, and we can do send lasers and send them and off to reflectometers. But as Mike brought up during the debate tonight, we've sent other stuff to the moon, and we got pictures now from the moon of the devices we left on the moon, but they're too small on the moon for us to see it with the telescope.
Yeah, you would need a massive telescope, like a 200 feet lens telescope, and it's not feasible to do.
Not
But,
unless you use a virtual telescope, but that's another deal. The point is that there's plenty of freaking evidence that we went to the damn moon. And like I said, our crap's still up there. And if anyone bothers to spend the damn money, build them a rocket, and they can go and find and look at the crap themselves. So, and denying that that we didn't go to the moon, I don't even know what the heck that is. Like, is that just some over skepticism crap from people? I don't know. But we went to the. But I do think we definitely went to the moon.
Are you familiar with flat earthers? It's a subset of conspiracy thinking.
Oh my God, they're almost as annoying as fucking socialists.
I agree with you.
Wait,
I know.
Leo's gonna not like that. I'm telling Leo.
You can tell Leo. I like Leo, but
Don't tell Leo. Don't say his name 3 times. We already did.
Leo.
No.
Beetlejuice.
We have socialists. Yeah, we get socialists on here. We have like a diverse panelists that come on here, so you're welcome to be here. But are DC or Marvel? That's all I gotta know.
Well, I'm actually a fan of them both, but I kind of prefer DC over Marvel, but only because I prefer Superman. Like, he's just sort of the guy I started with. him and Batman. They're, they're just the guys I started with, from like when I was real little. That's about it. And why?
Now I gotta
But I
go
do
put on
like
my
me some
Superman
DC. I mean,
costume.
Wolverine. He's cool. Freaking love me some Blade and Spider-Man. I mean, love him. He's great.
Detective Comics.
And also I'm into like all the freaking mangas.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I don't
didn't
want to
know
hear
you-
what type of mangas. That
you,
can
you
get weird.
I don't know why I didn't make the connection. Tuno constantly brings up Batman and has a couple of his slides that he's used in the past have either him depicted as Batman
See you,
or
Dr.
just
J.
Batman there.
Dr.
Bye,
J
Dr.
has
J.
to cut out. So
Yeah,
Okay.
see you guys. Good talking to you, Big Tune. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you
Have a
guys.
good night.
Mm-hmm.
Does it resonate? Does it anger you when people say Mactoon, or do you, or is damn?
That was a
Wow,
gift for
that's-
my kids. Yeah, that's not a practical knife.
No,
No, but
No.
it's cool. It's
though
cool
that's a
aesthetic.
battery.
now we
Heck
gotta
yeah.
do now we
I
gotta
was
do a
asked,
poll.
does it bother you when people call you Mactoon, or do you prefer MC, or what's the deal with that?
It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm not Scottish. My name
Yes.
is not Mick, and it's not MC. Neither of them, right? You can call me Toon or Mike. That's fine. Or Michael. But what I do like is that it's a way that flat earthers can self-identify.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Almost all the time, if somebody says Mick Toon, then I know they're a flat earther. I've actually, while traveling, I've like, if somebody looks at me, I'm like, I hope they don't recognize me. So I've gone through my head, like, if somebody comes up to me and starts talking to me, if they call me Mick Toon, then right away I'm like, make sure I know where the exits are. Now, I'm not kidding. Like, some of them are not safe.
Yeah, because I remember, for example, Witsit calls you Mactoon on purpose, because you
Yes.
even
course
on
he
debates you corrected him, and it's like it's MC, and he goes just like Mac.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, if they don't call me by my right name, then they can't complain about me saying Flurf.
Right.
They can't complain about, right? There's a whole bunch of things that they all instantly cannot complain about because they're not getting my name right.
Right.
So I don't care. It doesn't bother me, but it gives me ammo.
Okay. I finally get it. 'cause
Everyone calls me Godspeed.
Okay.
What's up with the?
They put everyone sees a P where there's not one.
It's just supposed to be
Oh, the whole
related.
get up.
Yeah, what's up with the get
It's a
up?
key.
People are asking.
Oh, just to conceal my identity. Although I do need a voice changer, but
Yeah.
I'm using what I had on hand.
Yeah, I'm wearing a mask right now, so that's what
I am
do.
CGI, but that brings me to another point that we haven't touched upon. I don't know if it's because I am brave or severely stupid, but every time I get threatened over the internet, I will just give out my home address to people and say, "Okay, come get me."
You
I
don't
don't
live
know,
in the
it's
United
either-
States.
Well,
You're
yeah,
crazy.
you
Yeah,
live
but
in
it's
not
either-
America.
Yeah, not America, true. But I've given my
Yeah.
address multiple times, and I don't know. It's weird when people get. I don't know if it's because of the way I am that I don't understand how feeling threatened actually feels. I don't really understand that because I wouldn't back out if someone like actually threatened me from here.
Why?
I don't know. It's maybe I say it's either because I'm brave or I'm stupid. I'm
Yeah.
open to both.
both. Why would?
So,
Go ahead.
let me read to you an email.
Okay.
Part of it that I got today. I'm not going to say who it's from, but your friend, somebody, was warned. We only warn once. He should forget a name. We can publish your info on 10,000 accounts on YouTube and wind up every freak near you. Talk to your friend. Now you have been warned, Mr. Toon. And then right below that is what he thinks is my personal information. Address, my address history, phone numbers, phone number history, aka alias, nicknames, alternate spellings, and then a bunch of them. They're not correct.
All right.
So
I'd be more impressed if they actually showed up by my front door.
yeah.
Which
Anyway,
is
so-
actually to tell you the truth, why I hide my identity is if I showed up at your front door. I don't want you to pick me out if I'm pretending to be your UPS or Amazon guy.
yeah,
I want you to open the door.
uncomfortable.
Please
isn't it?
let Toon finish.
Anyway, so that is the reason to I'm glad that it's all incorrect. But anyway, that's the reason. In America, it's a little different than in not America, I think, right? Because there's more crazy people here, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, but for example, when you started reading that, my response to that email will be, "Come meet me, you fucking pussy." But
that
maybe,
might be exactly my response, but I don't want him to show up at somebody else's door either.
right. And I also get that you have a family, like you have a wife, you have children. I live alone, so like I'm not putting someone else in danger.
That's the reaction he wants. He wants to instill like trepidation, not necessarily fear, but like even like responding to the threat, you're responding to what he wants. Your best course of action, something like that, is just to send it to. I think there's an FBI thing where you can send it to if you care enough. That guy obviously is just trying to intimidate and scare. But,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't know for sure. But
He's intimidating someone else and trying to leverage me in the middle of it. And like I let the other person know. I haven't read it. I just got it before that stream started. So my
Wow,
friend has
a second-hand threat. That's rare. I've never heard of someone threatening someone else through an intermediary. That's weird. That's so weird.
yeah, these people are crazy, dude. They're okay. I don't know. Like they get mad at me on Twitter and X and these debates. I got to the point where I try to be nice. I tried for a while. And then they started calling me names. Like seriously, like very like defamatory things.
Oh yeah.
And like they've done to you. And like
and if you don't like it, right, then that's some sort of admission. Like, no.
yeah.
The first one I remember was Daphne Nemos calling you a Nephilim live on a debate and trying to exorcise your demons. That was the first one I can remember.
He believes.
A Nephilim?
Yeah, so this guy believes that Nephilim are Jewish people that have died.
What?
I'm not kidding. Dustin Nemos. He's supposedly the greatest debater of all time. He's a master.
Oh my God, that sounds about as bad as Jordan and his space Jews.
Well, yeah, Dustin has he never lost a debate when he was an atheist, and now that he is a Christian or whatever he is, he hasn't lost a debate either. So
I reviewed his infographics. What he does is he looks at the YouGov poll that they did like 10 years ago about the percentage of Americans that believe the earth is flat or we didn't go to the moon. And then he compares it to the poll results for the debates on Modern Day Debate as if he can correlate the two. Dustin is literally just an idiot. but people follow him. People idolize him. They think he's like this saint, and I would say he's one of the evil people, man. He is a horrible person.
Mm.
The ones that make that accusation of doing stuff with children tend to be the most evil people, right? It makes me wonder, why is that always on your mind? Why are you always reaching for that one? You can't stop thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't throw that one out without some solid evidence, because that's serious stuff right there.
Well, they do it. They do it to me all the time. You know what their
Yeah.
evidence is? I don't believe the Earth is flat. That's their evidence.
That's all we need.
So, all right.
And you made
Of
this
course.
a couple of times. You made this sign a couple of times on a debate, and that's it. That's all they need.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Oh,
about
yes. Wait, hold on. This must I'm a white supremacist.
Hold on. Let Isa go. Isa, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to say was about the Dustin Emos debate, because I was there, and I'm just like, who do you think wrote about these Nephilim? Who do you think the people were that wrote this text? Do you think that they were, I don't know, people? Do you think that they were from Western Europe? Like, where do you think these people were? These people were Israelites, Hebrews, Jews, whatever term you want to say. That's the people who wrote these texts. So I find it really weird that there's this vile anti-Semitic information about Semitic texts. I just find that strange.
And Dr. J gave us the inside scoop that the Nephilim, if you believe the Bible, the Nephilim all died in the Noah's flood, so we're safe.
Well, they read like something from Enoch or something like that. But all the humans died except for Noah and his family. So where's the Nephilim at?
They all died. They're all supposed to die. So,
but no, that's why he says the Nephilim are those people. Those are those 8 people, but they're Jewish people that have died and come back to life. He's made his own lore, like he's made his own fan fiction. It's not biblical at all. It's just his own friggin' made up stuff. But he's a QAnon guy. That's where he got his fame. Dustin was from QAnon.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget his international award for honesty.
Oh my God, not QAnon. That thing is embarrassing. Like, even if I believed in QAnon stuff, I wouldn't admit from being from QAnon and stuff. Like, oh my God, that's like really embarrassing.
Aaron Reese says the Nephilim were supposed to be the children of angels and humans, specifically the choir of watchers who were condemned to earth for refusing to take part in the war in heaven. Yes, exactly. And then they mingled with the humans and they made a sort of like hybrid.
But that comes from Enoch. Like
yeah. And the book of Enoch is not canon, so I don't know why people like to bring that up. Because it's quoted. So let's go around and give our final thoughts on the debate tonight, and we'll be on our way to wrap it up. Gottlieb, you didn't watch the debate, so I'm going to hand it over directly to Isa. Isa, I got you.
That's fine. You're good. Well, I think we know who the clear winner is. I think it's pretty obvious. We the audience now, but the audience. But I definitely think MC Toon came on top. I mean, MC Toon brought facts, brought evidence, covered the topic that we were doing. We didn't go to China. We weren't. The other interlocutor, Dr. Rasa, was bringing us to China and Freemasons and all the other kinds of things that are not really about the moon hoax. Like if I were debating, I would say, well, the technology isn't good. Like that was the thing I brought up in the pre-show. I'm like, that would be an interesting conversation. Saying, in the 60s, we just didn't have that technology, so that's impossible, right? That would have been more of an interesting conversation. But I mean, the conspiracy stuff, goes so far, and having esoteric secret knowledge, I don't think we can buy that. That's just not going to work. We have to work with the facts that are in front of us, and I think MC Toon did that. So that's where I land.
All right, thank you so much, Billy.
Yeah, good job, Mike, today. And the doctor guy. I mean, I even said in the pre-show that he was just going to ask you a bunch of questions and not actually answer any questions. So that's pretty much what happened the whole time. And I felt like you were as patient as somebody. I probably would have started yelling at him and calling him an idiot and stuff like that. But that's just the way I am. I made a video about what I think about Witsit, and I want to see some links for your moon rocks, because I could show you some moon rocks if you want, and we can smoke them too if you want. Witsit.
Yeehaw.
You can go smoke some freaking moon rocks.
That's
All right,
Craig. That's the other anti-flat.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess Craig.
I hate that
probably
word,
would do it,
anti-flat
yeah.
earther. You mean a truther?
I don't know. Witsits might smoke weed still. I don't know. Maybe. But if he does, yeah.
Not sure. I know Jaren does, but I'm not sure about Witsit.
But either way, yeah. Good job,
Toon,
though.
any final thoughts on the debate? And good thing that you managed. I remember you said that you got NordVPN or something to be able to join on StreamYard.
I'm using it right now.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So thank
Why
you.
what was the problem before? You needed.
I would have trouble at home, not elsewhere, but at home using StreamYard. Some people would cut out. So I was figuring out like the stream from you to me is separate from the stream from Max to me. And it's not like going to the StreamYard servers and then sending a single stream out. So it would mess up, and it was having. I'm like, I can't have that be a problem. So I bought NordVPN. It's the only time
I might look for another streaming software because I want to try to do this where it's easier to do vertical and horizontal streams, even though like my hands are like lagging. Anyways, but
So final thoughts before we wrap it up soon.
Well, as we were talking, I received an email from somebody who dug up the undergraduate bulletin from Portland State University for 1998 to 99. And would you believe it? Astrophysics is not an offered program.
that's what I said before.
Wow.
What I tried to steel man him. Okay, let me fix my. He was very careful to say he never said he had a degree in astrophysics. What he said was, I went to Portland State University to get a degree in astrophysics, and then I went to go get this medical degree he claims he has, which is whatever. I'm not going to say what it is. And then he said he got a bachelor's degree, but he never actually was clear what his bachelor's degree was actually in. But if you're getting a degree in quantum mechanics, and that doesn't sound like the name of a PhD program. It would be more like quantum physics or something like that, not quantum mechanics. He would need all the math and the physics before he could get that degree.
He can't
going for it, huh?
He can't do math.
Yeah. So I tried to steel man and say maybe he was going, because they do have a physics program at Portland State University, but not astrophysics. I looked it up. So.
Well, the undergraduate bulletin from 1998 agrees.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Very interesting that someone.
He doesn't know what alpha beta particles are. He thinks gravity. He thinks falling. He thinks law of free fall, like 16th century, right? Galileo stuff. Law of free fall is dependent upon weight. Like that was bad for a physicist. But hey, maybe he is a physicist because we got Robert Bennett that's teaching flat earthers to be fat earthers now because they're all, they're giving up on that, the truly flat. Like they're saying it's all curved.
Yeah, they're going geocentric. But the thing, I don't think geocentric has the pull. I don't think it has the draw because who are they? they can't. They're not hiding anything now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's not more lands. There's not a dome. Right. What did Admiral Byrd go to explore in Antarctica?
Yeah.
He just went to explore now. There's no conspiracy left.
Hollow Earth
Yeah.
still, if you
Well,
want
they
to go
could
deeper.
go
into it.
hollow, but that doesn't do much either.
No, it doesn't.
Because
really.
flat Earth is supposed to be biblical, so that's where the appeal is it can appeal to
Yeah.
the fundamentalist group.
But the
of Christians.
geocentrists are, I think, even more biblical.
The
Yeah.
Why
geocentrists,
would you be a geocentrist if it wasn't for the Bible?
True.
I don't know
there's no
what's
reason to.
Bennett's justification for being a geocentrist, and someone has a
He's a
little bit of
Catholic.
an.
Catholic.
Yeah, he's a strict Catholic.
Oh, okay.
But Catholics accept the Big Bang cosmology. Catholics
No.
accept evolution.
Not Bennett, not
Okay.
Sungenis. Robert Sungenis is the one that started it, popularized it recently. So Bennett is under Subgenis.
And he always brings up Assis, right? Assis is like an outspoken atheist who rejects Big Bang cosmology because he believes it's a creationist story.
Right.
He believes in
But-
like the static universe model
Oh.
still. So
But
you know
that-
they bring up relational mechanics and Assis. I got an interview of him. It's not on this computer, it's on my other one, where he explains that. And I hear feedback. I don't know if it's me
Yeah,
or
I
not.
don't know who that is that has the feedback. But
Oh,
we're
my
on
God.
the tape. So now Assis, I think that is just a philosophical position that he has to reject the Big Bang because he doesn't want an origin point. So I don't know how he makes that work. I haven't seen like the full argument, but to me it just sounds like, okay, I don't want it to be this way, so I just say this. But I think I told you, Toon, that Oz tried to reach out to Bennett to debate, and he wants
I sent it to him.
$1,000. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, I muted
$1,000.
you, Mike. Yeah, I got to unmute you. We had feedback with your stream, so I muted you. Yeah, it was you.
Don't
No.
leave like T-Jump. Don't leave.
Okay, you're unmuted now.
Is it feeding back?
It was, yeah.
Me?
Pretty-
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using the earbud. Okay. I thinking about Bennett wanting $1,000 and Toby Walker backed out of Modern Day Debate last week because he wanted to get paid. And so I have a list of the cowards live debate defense, and I think number 5 is pay me, right? I need to be paid. And my thing in there is what makes you think that you should get paid? Do you have a history of getting paid? Do you actually have some level of expertise? You know what? But so Toby Walker, no, that of course not. That's ridiculous that he would expect to get paid. And same for Nathan Thompson would use that to get out of debating me. He still does. He won't debate me. He says he needs $500. And all of the Oakley crew, they use that to get out of debates. But to be fair to Bennett, he actually does have the credentials.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
He's stupidly wrong, but he actually does have a real PhD. So expecting an honorarium actually kind of you can expect.
Mhm.
If you have, but his theories aren't being accepted, you would think he would be open to the opportunity. We got feedback. Like I was trying to sell it to James. I'm like, James, you should find another PhD and sell this like PhD versus PhD geocentrism on trial and have a real debate and pay these guys and like market it as like this real like legitimate debate. But like he should welcome that he could share his ideas out, because who is he sharing his ideas with for free? Flat earthers, either cosmologists, like that are just his own echo chamber. And they're just like, ooh, thank you, Robert. Thank you. You're so smart, Robert. Eventually you'll come to the light and be a flat earther. It's only a matter of time. You're so like just stroking his ego the entire time.
they'll stab them in the back eventually when they've had enough of them rejecting flat Earth.
Well, they're anti-Catholic. That's what the whole controversy between me and the flat earthers and Robert Bennett is because I told Robert Bennett how all these ether cosmologists are anti-Catholic, going after Jesuits all the time.
All right. With that, tomorrow we have the Tell Me That Story show with Isa. We're talking
Really
about
bad feedback, Mike. Can you mute
I
yourself?
know who that is. We're having the Tell Me That Story show with Isa. We're talking about Aesop's fables. Do you have a show tomorrow, Oz?
No. Mark, you better bring your A game this week. To who? Anyways.
All right.
Do we have a show this week? Wednesday, I usually do like but you're doing your thing on Wednesday.
Yeah,
I keep on trying to think it. Huh?
Wednesday at 9.
I keep on trying to think of a show to do like once a week, but I'm running out of good material. Wit's been doing his reschooling, or Witsit needs reschooling again because he's trying to school people and he fails every time. So maybe I'll cover one of his videos.
On Thursday, we plan on doing the analyzing the evidence of God, the evidence of God brought up. He made a little video, so we're going to go through that. And then on Friday, we have Nadir going on a debate against a Christian on whether their view is scientific. So I'm really excited for that debate. I'm stoked. Yes, Toon can't believe his face, but I am stoked for that debate. It's going to be wonderful. Nadir is awesome.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be a horrible debate. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
no, I'm going to love every second of it, I'm sure, because none of them have a leg to stand on. The Bible is not scientific. The Quran is not scientific. So it's going to be wonderful.
Are they debating which one's scientific?
Yes. Which one is more scientific? I think that's
dude, that's
it's time for none.
Yes.
It's a category error. Any legitimate philosopher, anybody actually it knows anything about this genre or topic would say there's a category error. That's not what these books are about. Why are you arguing this? Having a debate about this is ridiculous. Like, it should be me against both of them. I should be in there, and I should be debating both of them, telling them, I'm the atheist, I'll be the Christian and the Muslim apologist because you both are stupid.
The title of the debate is Are the Bible or Quran Scientific? So both have a positive claim. So it's going to be wonderful. I'm telling you, it's going to be chef's kiss.
Do you know what's really funny about that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. And also, it's going to be telling some of my stories too that I wrote. So that's another kind of cool thing that we're going to have a couple stories that I wrote as well. But I think the point that needs to be understood too is like Nadir's position is really problematic too, because he has to accept the Testament and the Hebrew scriptures, because that the Quran is contingent on that. If you take a classical Islamic position, you can't throw these texts out. You could try to reinterpret the text, but even in the classical interpretation of the text, it's that these texts are made by God. They are from God. So if you say that these texts are corrupted, then you're saying that you face a theological crisis. You face the crisis of either God is a deceiver or God is weak. Nadir doesn't even understand that theologically he has nothing to stand on when he tries to attack these scriptures. If he wants to attack something like Hinduism or some other religion, that, you know, maybe you can make a claim for that, but he can't attack the Bible and the Testament. He can't. If he does that, then he crucifies his own tradition, which is this is something I see Muslim apologists do, that they're willing to throw these texts out there, throw them under the bus. And I'm like, you could say, look, I don't take the same interpretation as the Christian or the Jewish person. That's fine. That's a sound theological argument, but it's not a sound argument to say these texts are corrupted, because if they do that, then they say, well, you know, that's one of the creeds of a Muslim, is that you have to believe in the books of the books that were revealed. So if you believe the books that were revealed were corrupted, then I think you're in trouble. So I'm like, I don't understand when he does this, because I'm like, it's not a good argument for you. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
they
and
are.
we'll see what they bring
Nope.
up. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they'll argue that it's Paul's church and Paul lied, and that it's really not Jesus's church because
Mhm.
Paul corrupted it. They have apologetics around it and stuff like that, but
They're not
so-
experts enough to defend this argument. They don't know Christianity well enough to defend it, to make that argument like,
Yeah.
oh, Paul did this and that. I'm like, okay, well, where's the correct text then?
yeah.
You don't have it. You don't have
Well,
a real testament to show to. So then you have to trust this testament. Sorry.
Well, they believe it was lost or whatever, the gospel of Jesus.
So God lost it. Really smart.
I know.
Really smart theological position. Really stupid. I'm sorry.
Gnosticism
Well-
is the true.
Well, that's what I don't get. You get these, like, okay, maybe I make this mistake sometimes, but you get these people that come into these debates and they don't find the best arguments for their position. They make them up like sort of ad hoc. The scientific arguments are not the best arguments. This weird claim that this guy was making tonight are not the best arguments against the moon landing. The best arguments against moon landing is that we wanted to beat Russia because Russia was ahead of us in the space race and that we staged it all. But this hard to justify. Your friggin' analysis of the gravity was beautiful. And like,
Mm.
there is too much there in that video that would not work on the Earth because of the movements of the person. Wouldn't look right if it was just slowed down. Like, we've all seen The Matrix. We all know what slow-mo looks like. So
And the whole standing up like this from the prone position, you can do that on Earth. It just takes a little bit of muscle. You can just hop. If you're in the moon and want gravity, you can just do it like that, and there wouldn't be a problem. That was a weird thing to bring up for his
He had no idea how kinematics worked. And to do it right, I know how fast it would have to be because there's a different video of the moon buggy doing it.
Mhm.
And somebody sped it up already and I watched it. And it's, the camera's super jerky. It's being handheld, where the one on the feather drop is not being handheld. So you wouldn't see that, but their movement isn't right when you speed it up like that. So they're like, oh, they slowed it down. No, when you speed it up, it looks stupid. You can tell instantly it doesn't match.
All right, then with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Remember to do the social thing is like, share, subscribe, send it to your significant other, send it to your friend, yell at the corner of your house, subscribe to Matters Now! And you can help spread the word about this channel and how awesome we are. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good night.
all right.